Hello, and welcome to day 3 of our journey from Turku to Trondheim, and welcome to the beautiful and which was a very sunny island until about an hour ago when we got the sea fog coming in. Maybe you'll be able to hear soon the ferries that are tooting their foghorns. We were just hearing them a while ago. But we're in Nagu on an island called Biskopsö, or Bishop's Island. And it's been a beautiful day, clear air, autumn colours just starting. We know the best of the colours are just about to come. And we've made a nice journey from Pargas, where we were yesterday, eating delicious food. I can tell you that we were eating it after we had the live sending. And Eva's cheeses, Margot's jams, and Nalle's root veggies. So we had a very tasty time. But I don't want to make you hungry just yet, although we have something to prepare on the fire a little bit later on. Also, thank you to all the comments. Remember, you can comment in any language you want. We'll try to use Google Translate if we don't understand them ourselves. And it's great to see that people are joining us from many different countries, and countries where we've not had so many followers from before. So especially on Facebook, I've noticed this week we've had about 100 new followers from Russia, Ukraine, Poland, maybe some other countries as well. And already we've had from Germany, but this week more people from Germany and especially from Italy. So very welcome to you. If you're from a country I've not mentioned, so please you can mention it in the comments as well, and anything you'd like to ask about. From yesterday we've travelled 30 or 40 kilometres. We've crossed a couple of 5 bridges and 1 ferry. So now we can really say that we're in the archipelago. And I have very many favourite parts of the path. Actually, the first part from Turku is one of my favourites, but also this through Nagu is also my favourite. It takes 2 days to complete the Nagu section, but it's beautiful. And it's really great that we're having a community, and we've been mentioning people joining this pilgrim community. And it means people who want to share experiences, meet other people, both other pilgrims and, of course, local people. And here we have 4 local people from the island of Nagu that I would like to meet with you. So if you join us, we'll find out where we are. So, hello, Johanna. Where are we? We're on Biskopsö, but you're the owner of this, the cottages, and also you have a farm here. Can you tell us a little bit more about the island and also this place?
Yeah. Yes, hello. So we are in the Bishop's Island, yeah, and in the center of Nagu. We are about 4 kilometers from the center, the Nagu village. We are 2 kilometers from the bridge, you know, the Norrgårds bridge that was voted for the most beautiful stamp collection, the world's most beautiful stamp photograph. So it's just behind us. We are also 2 kilometers or about 4 kilometers from the Västerholmska path, the Västerholm path that maybe some people have heard about in Nagu.
Who was Västerholm?
Västerholm, he was a painter that lived here, and he was very famous around here. So he has an old path, and you can go up on a very nice hill with a nice view, and we can see each other here over the sea. And this place is called Norrgård. It's the North farm, maybe you call it, but it's an ancient name, Norrgård. And this was bought into the family in 1887 by my husband's great-great-grandmother. And since then, it has been a farm. So there are crops here and everything. And we are farming ecological wheat, oat, and rye sometimes. And these cottages that we rent is a part of the farm. And here I have some homemade bread from our own wheat and some juice from our own berries. This is something that you could be served as a breakfast if you stay here. The cottage is what we call the pilgrim cottage. So here the pilgrims sleep when they come here. Yes, what more would I tell you about.
So, do pilgrims get special services when they come and stay here at your place?
Yes, for starters, we have a package price for pilgrims. So when you come as a pilgrim, if you have this passport with you, you get a package price, and then you get for 30 euros, you get everything, the made bed and the breakfast. But we also have sauna, of course, down at the beach or at the water. So you can go to sauna, and we have rowing boats, so you can go out. And then we have also bicycles that you can, if you want to go by bike to the village, if you have walked enough. And then we have also paths that we have our own paths that we have two. One rocky path that goes on the rocks, and then we have a wooden, we call it the Goblin Path or the Children's Pilgrim Path. It's a new for this year, and you go into the woods, you find the goblins and fairies and all these elves there. It's a very nice place. It's like a Kalevala fairy tale to go into those woods. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's along the trail there's a lot of different kinds of accommodation, and some places like Norrgårds Cottages that have they give a discount or a package for pilgrims, so special services, and others then it's they welcome pilgrims as part of the normal accommodation. And here you have a special stamp, so not the official stamps, but we also have many places that are old farms. So you have the old in Swedish bomärke, so the mark of the farm that was put on maybe the cows sometimes, but the property of the farm. So perhaps later on we can have a look at your how old is the mark, do you know?
I have to tell you that I don't know exactly how old the mark is, but we have found them on documents from early 1910 or before, from 1880 also. So it was the signature what you put on the very papers, when you made some you bought agreements, everything. It was like a signature, this stamp. Yeah.
And the farm is still working. It's a working farm as well. Yeah. And we got one comment asking how it looks very high up, and I don't know, do you know how high we are? But we have a really beautiful view here, although it's getting more foggy. But anyway, you can see quite far. You can see even the church, I think,
yes.
Which is on the next island from here.
Yes.
So actually, or 2 islands away. But rocky and nice views. And all the accommodation you can find from the digital maps. So every day in the videos, if you're watching this afterwards, you'll find the links to the digital map and to the website as well, so you can find it. And maybe you can hear the foghorns of the ferries coming. Okay, we'll talk a little bit later. But I also have Aada here. And Aada has travelled quite widely along the Olav routes in Finland. So not only the official route, so we are an official route from Turku westward towards Eckerö over Åland, but you have started a little bit further away.
Yeah, I started from Savonlinna, which is pretty close to the border of Russia here in Finland. So with my colleague Harri Ahonen, we wrote a book. It's unfortunately only in Finnish at the moment, but please comment below if you want it in another language so we can convince our publisher that we need to get it translated. But yeah, the official route in Finland starts in Turku at the moment, but they've actually made the route a bit longer. And the Olav routes in Finland begin in Savonlinna, which is about 1,000 kilometers from here. And the book we wrote begins there. And the plan is, of course, that in the future all of it will be a part of the official St Olav route, from all the way from Savonlinna and to Nidaros or Trondheim nowadays.
And so you're also then connecting many historical places, so places dedicated to St Olav through Finland. Could you maybe mention a few? So Savonlinna, of course, is one because they have a castle, and the castle is actually called Olavin Linna. So it's of Olav. But there's some other places along the route that maybe we could mention briefly that have a quite strong connection to Olav.
Yes. Well, obviously, to begin with Olavinlinna, maybe my own favorite is the church of Olav, the Olav Church in Sastamala, which is pretty much in the middle of the route. It's an old church from the Middle Ages, but it burnt down in 1997. And then in the early 2000s, they built it up. It was volunteers who built it up. And they had some 2 local painters who did all the artwork inside. So it's a nice combination of the old stone walls and the traditional Middle Age architecture, and then very nice, very stylish, modern paintings. And then maybe another one that would be my favorite is in Åland. You know, along the Finnish coast, there is this old Kung Valdemar's sailing route from Denmark to Eastland, and it goes via Åland, and there right before you arrive to Mariehamn there is this small chapel that is dedicated to St Olav, and it's a little bit hidden, and it's pretty much, you can't really get inside, but you can see in from the door. It's small, it's old, but I find it really cute, and it has a little bit of a special history. And the reason why it was dedicated to Olav was because Olav was the saint of the seamen, and that's why he got his own chapel there by the route.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Beside the route. You have to take a small detour, but I know in Åland they're working on hopefully a system in the future so you can actually get a boat transfer from beside the chapel over to Mariehamn, because seaway it's very short, but by land it's maybe 20 kilometers to walk. So if you want to save your legs, it's a good way to do it by rowing boat or by a small motorboat. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about our route here, but we can go and perhaps take a small walk and meet some more people from Nagu. So you've experienced the whole of the route, and it's probably also good to say that the route from Savonlinna to Turku, it's not marked, so then you really have to have the book, and a lot of it is also quite long distances, so it's pretty good also as a cycling route, whereas here you can do short distances, and it's also very well marked, and we have very good information on the internet. But of course, if you speak Finnish, it's a good thing to have. You can have the book as well. But you've also travelled around here, especially in the Åland Islands and to some of the outer islands. That was your speciality, I know, when you were writing the book with Harry. So could you tell a little bit about your own experiences here in the archipelago? Was there any challenges or things that you especially liked?
For the past 15 years, there hasn't been a single year I wouldn't have been traveling a little bit around in the archipel. So I really like it here. My absolute favorite part of the path were the outer islands. It's from Nagu. I think it's about 12 kilometers to Pärnas ferry harbor, where you can take the boat. And there are a few islands. The first one is called Berghamn, and then the last one on the route is Utte, which is the outer island, translated to English. And there was this one island called Aspö, which I kind of got stuck in. I went there 2 years ago working with the book. The locals were really welcoming. It was autumn, so there weren't a lot of people around anymore, but they invited me to eat dinner with them and go to sauna and all that kind of stuff. And I really like the place. Also, it's pretty far out, so if there's a storm, especially the southwestern wind does hit the island quite hard, you can see some amazing waves and really feel the power of the sea.
I know, especially people from abroad, they sometimes get a bit worried about the ferries. And at least along the main route, they go very often. So they go like the one between Pargas and Nagu, it goes 4 times an hour. And the following one that you'll have to take to get to tomorrow's destination, Turku, the one that goes to Korpo, it goes also many times an hour. But to the outer archipelago, it goes once a day and sometimes not every day. But was it easy to find the information and to move around the islands?
Okay, well, first of all, it's not only you. I remember my first trip, we went to Åland with my friend. We were maybe 14 or 15-year-old. And I mean, we struggled really with the timetables. It took us, I think, several weeks to find out which ferries go when and from where and how does it work. But the one, Baldur, it's pretty easy to find. It doesn't go even every day, at least not in both directions. So you'll have to plan a little bit in forehand and think about how long are you going to stay, which day will you arrive, which day are you going to leave. But the timetable is pretty easy. You have to be aware that they have 2 timetables, one for winter, one for summer. That's how it works for most of the ferries. And also you have to be careful that if there's a little mark, it's usually an X or a Y, then you'll have to call them in forehand so they come and pick you up. Otherwise, they might skip the island you're on.
Yeah. Okay. But that's only the ones on the outer archipelago, and that's why we also have them as optional routes, because it can be not difficult, but you have to be careful. You have to read the timetable. And the advice I always give people is that if you're going to the outer archipelago, normally you're staying somewhere, so you've booked accommodation, and ask the people that you're staying with, because they fix it all. And they know, okay, it's foggy, maybe the ferry's a bit late today, and they'll call the ferry and say, remember to come, Aada's here on the island. And it always works out. And if it's very rough weather, then they say, okay, it's coming early today, so it can get in time to the end destination. So it's also a good thing just to book your accommodation and tell the people we're coming today, and they'll make sure you get the right ferry and so on, and if there's some special arrangements. Perhaps you would like to show the book to the camera. You can go a bit closer, and then I would like to introduce you to Aaro, a very special person for the waterway. And sometimes we call Aaro the father of the waterway. I know it's not only you, but it's your family or your wife, Uma, father and mother of the waterway, because you had a dream and a vision about recreating this pilgrimage trail here. Can you tell us how did the whole thing start?
It started approximately 2005. I did a series of science programs for Finnish radio, 30 parts, and there I mentioned, I told the history of St Olav. Then I followed with doing a theatre play in Turku city theatre about St Olav's days in Norway, but from the pagan heathen side, seen from there. And then I was in a with my wife we created the St Olav days in Nagu here. So that happened also 2006. And then when I was asked in Novgorod that what should they do to get more Western cultural tourists there, I said quite easily that why don't you try St Olav? And then they asked that why should they choose St Olav as their theme, and I explained that he has lived there. He's the last saint for Eastern and Western churches, ecumenic character. He has traveled a lot in Spain and in conquered London, and London Bridge is falling down tells about him, actually. And he fought also here in Nagu once. Actually, he fought here twice, and so forth. So he has done the marketing already. Everything is ready. So why don't use what exists? Man tager vad man haver. And they agreed. They said that this is good. And then I called to Trondheim and asked that how could we proceed to get the path to go to Novgorod or start from there. And they didn't take my idea at once very strongly, because they were so Norway centered, I thought. Perhaps that was the case. But then later, already from 2013, people in Norway and Sweden were quite sure already that the route will continue on this side. And then comes your project, which got financing from Central Baltic on year 2016, and then the practical part of the path building began. The fact is that we can't get to Novgorod without having St Olav ways also here through Finland first. So we are nearing to Novgorod, but we are not yet there. But what has happened is quite amazing, astonishing. Namely, this is now number 1 of St Olav ways in Finland, but there are 8 other paths developing in the same time. So the last one got financing in Oulu, in northern part of Finland. And this is really ridiculous how this idea spreads all over Finland.
Yeah. So it shows how the popularity, and it's great. So we hope also in the future there'll be many of those routes. And we've talked a lot about Novgorod, and of course Olav Haraldsson, he began his journey back to Norway, where he died in the Battle of Stiklestad, and we'll hear more about that on Friday when we are in Trondheim and from the cathedral, Nidaros. But that's why it's an important connection, and he made that journey in 1030 when he died, and very soon we'll have the 1000-year anniversary of that happening, so in 2030. And that's why this is a very small part of a very big vision to make a route the whole way from Novgorod to Trondheim. So we're getting there step by step, and also with the help of Harry and Aada's book. Hopefully it will also be signposted in the future, and we're already at the Finnish-Russian border, or quite close. You mentioned that Olav has perhaps passed through these waters. You know many stories. Could you tell us a little bit about perhaps one of them?
I must tell 2, because he was here at least 2 times.
So closer to the fire.
Yeah.
I think they're grilling sausages. So yeah.
Yeah.
Tell the story.
So when St Olav was 13 years old, he went across the Baltic Sea, robbing here and there, and before Finland he was in Saaremaa, but there he couldn't get anything. They were for clever for him, and so he came to Finland. The Battle of Hirdal may have taken place in nearby Helsinki. There is still a place by the same name, and they are having a play there where they show what happens according to St Olav's saga, which is the biggest part of Heimskringla, and Heimskringla is the biggest part of the saga literature altogether. So we can say that these stories about St Olav are the main spearhead of a whole saga literature, and that is why I can tell you what happened. So he went on land and went to the villages, and they were empty. There was nothing to rob and steal. So and then the sun set, and they had to go back to their boats, which they did. But then the locals had arranged their groups along the path, and they shot many Norwegians in the forests there before Norwegians could go escape from there. But then the idea was that they should take the outer route, the same which was mentioned here, the Danish route through the outer archipelago. But the Finns, they were very clever in changing the climate. Noituus, vad heter det?
The atmosphere.
Noita. Witches,
witch,
yeah,
yeah,
they were famous witches, which changed the weather so that the Norwegians were pushed into here, and then St Olav had another battle in Finland, Balagardssida, the Battle of Balagardssida. This took place year 1008, and the storyline goes so that the locals used high mountains or hills here to light fires, and so all the locals knew already beforehand when the Norwegians were coming, and this took the advantage of Viking strategy away. It was based wholly on surprise, and here they couldn't use that at all, so it was very painful here also. And most probably whole local activity was led from the only ancient hill here, Bornholm, quite nearby here, 6 kilometers from here, and there is a highest point in the whole archipelago beside it, from where all the other high places were visible, and so it was coordinated. And then after St Olav left for Holland, and from there to London, which he conquered, and so forth. But you mentioned already the Harili waterway from Novgorod to Norway. Several years later, 1030, when he hurried to get the crown of Norway back. So the shortest cut goes whether on that side of this island or here behind of us, and it's most probable that he has been here twice. After he lost his status as Norwegian king, he lived in Novgorod, and when he heard that Danish vice king was dead, so he hurried to Norway, to Selonger in middle Sweden first, and then along the great rivers up to Norway, and then he died. And there is one local story that supports this idea that St Olav would have been here. Namely, there is another St Olav's church in Kaland, 50 kilometers north from here, where they tell how St Olav came there on an island, and then Bishop Grimkel from England, his friend, then took the water and threw it across the locals. And this was so special experience for the locals that they based their church building on this story. And that is why there even today exists a church dedicated to St Olav. And they say that this all happened during or in connection with St Olav's trip to Novgorod. Perhaps this was the trip back from Novgorod to Norway, and so forth. Yeah.
I think we could talk the whole evening, so it's good we have some sausages and some beer, and Aaro is a very good storyteller, so I'm sure we'll carry on late into the evening talking about the stories of Olav. And I think it's very interesting, the whole thing with Olav Haraldsson. So he was a Viking, he was a pagan, then he introduced Christianity to Norway. He wanted to unite Norway as a nation, and then we have the whole history of Christianity coming to the Nordic countries, and then also pilgrimage afterwards, and pilgrimage to Trondheim. So he's a very interesting figure, and the more you get to know Olav, then these stories and legends pop up all over the place. But maybe the question many people ask is, how can you experience this? And also, when we are a waterway, but we're actually a hiking route, then you also have to have experience of the water. And of course, you get it from the ferries. There's many ferries you can take, some of the longer ferries to the outer archipelago. We also have a beautiful wooden sailing boat called Taxamheten here that does sailing cruises that you can take. It's a very traditional boat. Also, Johanna here, you can rent or borrow a rowing boat and go rowing around. Of course, it's the traditional way of walking. But we also have Jocke here, who has a small kayaking company and takes small groups out to the archipelago for 3 days and 6 days. And you also have tours for St Olav Waterway. Of course, then you have to be a group. But tell us a little bit about kayaking here in the archipelago.
Okay, hello. Okay. To go out here in the archipelago, you actually need a boat or a kayak or something. And I think the kayak is the best way to explore the islands here. As it was speak before here about the ferries and the timetables, how difficult they are to read and to know about them. It's very easy to contact some of the kayaking companies here, and we can arrange everything about the ferries, and you can also go out kayaking without ferries. We do kayaking like ferry jumping. We take the kayaks on the ferries and go further out. We have many times go to Aspe, which is your favor here, and for me, the kayaking for me is something I very much like, and I would to have this experience for you. This archipelago is very special. I have been kayaking around the world in many places, and there is few places with so many small islands and so shelter water. Here is big water also, but here is when we have, how many islands we have here? We have 10,000. Yeah, we have actually many small islands, and the special about this archipelago is that it's a rocky island, but it's not the big cliffs that you are used in England. It's not the sandy beaches. It's like this, and we can go out for several days. We take the tent with us and do the camping just out there. And I think this is some way to explore the nature, and maybe you can go back in time when it was not so many roads and not so many things about that we have done here. The archipelago is quite in its original shape, and I many times when I go out just by myself, and in winter time special, you can feel like you are the only people in the whole planet, because the air can be so quiet and so nice here. So this is something we can offer you here, a good experience of to be quiet in the nature. And here are several companies that you can contact. Yes.
Great, thank you. And I also love kayaking, and I think it's a very meditative form of transport. And you really have to have a connection, so be mindful in the moment, and also in a way like when you're a pilgrim and you're walking, you have to also, your body becomes mindful to the road. Otherwise you walk badly, or you get some kind of injury. And it's the same in the kayak. You have to have the feeling of the sea, so you really get the strong contact. But we've talked a lot about the ferries, and it's also a great thing here that their ferries go to hundreds of islands as well. So it's actually very easy to once you figure out the timetable, to visit, if you don't have a boat or a kayak, to visit these small islands. Or then you can, we'll put the contact to Jocke afterwards on the video, so you can find the webpage there. But then you can visit those very small islands. And also I know that when Jocke does his tours, that if it's happens to be stormy, then he takes, if there's some passages, so like he said, puts the kayaks on the ferry, so it's very safe. Then you go to a very sheltered archipelago, and you can go in very safe and sheltered water. We got some comments during the week about hiking tours, and there are some. The season always opens with a hiking tour. It's a local parish that organises one from Turku, and as far actually as there are people interested. So at least along this part to Korpo, which is the next island, or then over to the Åland Islands. And then in the autumn, later in October, there's a retreat. This year it's actually going to be in Kyrkar, where we are tomorrow. It's already fully booked, but it's a bit, sometimes October can be a bit rainy, so that's why it's a nice time to be inside and cozy and have the retreat. So they're both very, very cheap, reasonable, because it's run by the local parishes. There is a German company, Finnturing. They offer 2 packages from Turku to the Åland Islands by bicycle and by walking. You get all accommodation booked for you. You can find the links. I'll put them at the bottom of the video and also on the web page. That you can find them there. And then there are a couple of companies that can organize it for you. But at the moment, this is a place for pilgrims that can find their own peace, because we don't have so many people coming, so it's difficult to organize group tours, although ready groups come, so people that want to walk together. And like I mentioned yesterday, we have the Facebook group, and then we have the Hiking Buddies tag, so you can find a person that will walk with you if you want to have someone to walk with. We were also going to talk about sauna today, so maybe you who like sauna, would you like to come and join me? And I know we have some equipment you need for the sauna, because I think sauna in Finland is something very special, and it's also something that belongs to pilgrimage. There's a very good film I would recommend to you, and maybe Aada if you want to come, and I don't know, Aaro and Jocke if you like sauna. But one of my favorite Finnish films is called Miesten Vuoro. So I can't remember the English title, actually, it's just disappeared. But the subtitle in English is that foreign men need psychologists, Finnish men need sauna. And actually sauna is the place where people reflect on the day, open up, and it's a very physical process, but it's a very meditative, and I think something that works very well with pilgrimage. And here you can find very fancy saunas, very old saunas that are normally the best, very simple saunas, all kinds of saunas. So I think it's also part of the experience. Would you like to explain about sauna and how you feel about sauna?
Well, sauna is very important in my life, because I have, of course, bathed in a sauna since I was a little girl. This is a vihta. This is only a symbolic vihta, because you make the vihta in June or in the springtime when the trees are still fresh. But with this one, you put it in the water, in the hot water, and then you really this is a kind of cleansing, or how do you want to tell? You use this in the sauna to cleanse all the problems away, and it's also good for your skin. Sauna is a place where you can rest your mind, you can wash yourself, you can wash off the problems, you can find good ideas, you can really still yourself. It's a mental and a physical place, very good place. So yes, we have also the sauna here. We have one small wooden sauna, and then we have an electric sauna from where you can go swimming. The best part of the sauna is when you go swimming, of course. And when you are in the archipelago, you have to go in the cold sea. That's the point. Then I have to tell you this tradition. People lived in the sauna. It's a very old tradition, of course. You gave birth in the sauna. You washed yourself. You made food in the sauna, and then you washed your dead people in the sauna before you buried them. This is the very old tradition in Finland. So it's really a part of the Finnish spirit. Then today, now I see that our sausages are starting to burn, but these are local sausages. You know, these are from Korpu. It's Vatkast sausages. And we have also some Nagu beer here, so we have local products. So this is also the sausage. It's a Finnish tradition. You have to grill sausages and drink beer after you have the sauna. This is also part of the thing. Okay.
You can also grill the sausages in the sauna, on the stove in the sauna. Tastes good. I love that you use the word vihta, because some people call it vasta in Finland, but I don't agree at all. Yeah, I've been living in Norway too during the past few years. Last year I was there for 7 months, and they don't really do sauna in Norway. So in the village I was staying in, they didn't have a sauna, not one single sauna. So obviously once I got back, it took like a month that I bathed sauna every single day here back home. My personal favorite sauna is a really old one. It's at the summer cottage of the great grandparents of my friend. It was built sometime in the 19th century maybe, but it's a smoke sauna. So the heating process goes like that. You have a very simple stove inside. You have to heat it several hours before you go in. And while you're heating it, all the smoke from the stove piles inside of the building. And then you have to wait for the fire to go out. Then you let the smoke out, and then you're good to go. I know it sounds weird, but those saunas have the softest and most comfortable laul in Finland. It's the most comfortable sauna to bath in, and especially that one lies right beside the lake where I've been sailing all my life and so on. So it's a really nice one.
And I have to say, I love sauna as well. And it was the first time I came to Finland. It was in November, and then in November, December, I got invited to sauna and then swim in the lake afterwards. And it was such a crazy idea, but I remember the sensation was something I'd never experienced before, so I recommend it. And the reason we're talking about sauna today is the original plan for here was actually we would be sending from down there at the shore. At the sauna, we had a group coming here for a conference, and they were brave people, so I thought they would be willing to show you in the sauna, and also showing when they go swimming in the sea, because the sea is also right down below us. But we're planning a few more behind the scenes small live sendings, so if you'd be interested in seeing inside the sauna, put a comment. We'll try to organize it. Also, if you'd be interested to join us on a sailing trip virtually, then maybe you can also put a comment and we'll try to organize it. There were some questions about the kayaking. So the tours, they start either normally from Nagu or Korpu, and it depends on the weather and also how long you want to go and the group, how far out they want to go. The name of the company, Jocke's company, is Nagu Sea Kayak, but we'll put the links at the bottom. And as he mentioned, there's other companies around the area as well that can organize it. And kayaking tours, they're always with a guide. So you have someone looking after your safety, of course. There's also, if you're an experienced kayaker, there's many places that also rent out kayaks. For people coming for the first time, I often recommend rowing because it's the more traditional. Kayaking is a modern tradition, but rowing was the way that you got around. And you can also do church boat rowing. So it was the way to get from the village to the church and to row together. Normally we have some objects that we take with us on the pilgrimage. I know you have also some with you. This one is a very special one because it's designed by Aaro, who's also an architect, and he designed this especially for this part of the path. And I think it's in ash and has a special design. You can get it for babies, very short ones, and also very long ones, and it's very nice. And actually this is the first official product that we have here that has the St Olav's logo. So everything that has the official logo then has it's been officially approved, so it's has some connection directly to the trail, and that's something that we're also developing to have more handicrafts and products. But like Johanna was mentioning, there's lots of things that you can enjoy here, especially in the way of food that come from the areas. What do you have that you always take with you on a pilgrimage or when you're walking?
Well, I have now three things. First, this one, of course. This I always have to wear this scarf because when people see this logo or this logo or this, I can explain where it comes from and what it is. That's a very good start. So then I always have to have a camera because this camera is really, I mean, if I don't get pictures, I can sit all the winter and look where I have been. So it's a very, very important thing for me. And from today, or from now on, I also will always use the socks. We have the St Olav pilgrim socks that we can buy. These are from Sweden. Greetings to Sweden. So these are from wool, so they are really, really comfortable and good to use. So these are the 3 things that I have had and will have with me.
I could have brought the whole backpack with me. I'm also a wilderness guide, so naturally I do a lot of hiking, biking, different kinds of trips, and it's pretty much the same things I take with me because I've seen it's good and it works. But what I chose to take with me is a kuksa. It's a wooden cup made of birch traditionally, and the reason why this one is special is that I didn't buy it myself. If you want to have a kuksa, you have to receive it as a gift or you have to make it yourself. But it's bad luck if you go and just buy one for yourself. So this one I got from my dad for my right before my first ski hike I did alone in Lapland. It was a February and I was staying for a couple of weeks up there all by myself. So dad gave me a kuksa, so at least I can drink some warm coffee. And then if I go hiking in Lapland or, for example, in Norway, in a place where I know there's a lot of fresh water available that you can just drink straight from the nature, you have to be careful with that. Doesn't apply to everywhere. I don't necessarily even have a bottle of water. I just take my kuksa and then I drink from the waterfalls and rivers.
That's great. And if you have a favorite object that you take with you, so also you can comment today or tomorrow. It'd be nice to hear about that as well. Yeah, we've had so much to talk about. We could talk more, but I think we've run out of time. Tomorrow, 2 ferries, 1 long ferry, a couple of bridges, and we're going to get to one of the wonderful islands in Åland, Turku. We're going to have some drone footage, a few films, and we're going to be talking to many different people from the Turku islands. So join us same time tomorrow. And again, you can write any comments that you want, and we'll try to answer your questions as well. And we have the special stamp from this place. So I think we'll put it as a photograph in one of the comments of the video. So if you want to see that, I think it'll be easier to see that. But thank you for watching. Thank you very much, Johanna, for letting us be here. And thank you, Jocke and Aaro and Aada also for coming here. And those sausages and beer look very tasty, so I think we're going to have a bite to eat. Okay, see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.